All right, Chad Brinker is here, executive of the Tennessee Titans. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Take me through what happens here. Every person that you work with from other teams, your counterparts in other teams, owners, whatever, in these hallways, it's complete madness. They're stopping chats all the time. Just explain to the common person what this event is like.
Yeah, it's the entire NFL executives and owners, and ownership is here, and there's a lot of conversations going on. I mean, we're, especially for us this year, we got a couple things going on. Not only the #1 pick, but we have a new stadium.
There you go.
Opening in 2027. So we're getting a lot of stops in the hallways and after various meetings and wanting to talk about those two things.
Do people, and I'm not asking for states, do people actually hey, would you trade this guy? Is that kind of stuff, not even the first overall pick, but is there actual personnel stuff going on in these halls right now?
Not as much. I think people think there is. There could be conversations like that going on, but I haven't been privy to any of those at this point. I think a lot of people, the executives will bring either their spouses or their families too. So you have a little bit of work and play involved in these meetings.
Take me through the process this time of year when you have the #1 overall pick and you're not worried, you're not doing, maybe you are for the second round, but you're not doing the mock simulations. This guy's gonna be available at 9. You just know you get the top of the pick. How does that change your thinking? You've never had it before, but tell me what the process is like when you have the first overall pick and the world is your oyster.
Yeah, this is the first for me. I spent most of my career in Green Bay where we were picking at the end of the rounds. But I think adding Dave Ziegler and Reggie McKenzie to our staff, who both been general managers and have picked in the top 10 or the top 5 in their careers, has been helpful to both Mike and I for the first time of being in a position like this to rely on them and their experiences that they've had. But I think the process is the process. We're all scouts. I'm a scout at heart, even though I know I have other responsibilities and duties, but I spend a lot of time scouting with the guys as well. And our process is very similar to the process I grew up in Green Bay. Mike Bergonzi learned that process from John Dorsey, and they implement that process there in Kansas City. So we approach everything fairly normal when it comes to the scouting process, although with the #1 pick, we understand the magnitude of that. We're very thorough in our evaluation. We still got more to go here over the next couple weeks, but we're getting closer and closer.
That's interesting to hear. I will say, it was Dorsey, the thing he once said to me, and I think about it all the time. He said that the whole key to the Green Bay scouting system, and this is an old school baseball reference, you may not get it, 90% Atlanta Braves, 10% Oakland A's, which is 90% traditional scouting, 10% analytics, height, weight, speed, the vertical stuff. And I just love the way you guys blended that. Take me through when you're talking about the Green Bay system, the Ted Thompson system, the John Dorsey system, all the way up to Ron Wolf. Take me through the keys to that. When you're evaluating a player through that lens, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to the baseline of everything we do is the experiential intuition, what you're calling the traditional scouting methodology. We've been able to kind of modernize it a little bit with the analytics, with some of the exploratory analytics and also predictive analytics that we've added to the system, but the baseline does not change. The traditional scouting part of this is still very much the same as it was when Ron introduced it to the Packers, and I think in 1991. But there's things that have evolved over time. Technology's gotten better. We've been more efficient in our processes. But the big thing is when we get in that room, there's 3 phases to our scouting process. Phase 1 is the All-Star games, and then the pre-combine scouting process where all the college scouts come in, and we literally go through every player in the country, and we watch 3 or 4 games on every single player. We start building the draft board vertically by position. And then phase 2 is when we get into the pro days, and then the top executives are in there in-house when we're not out on the road, going through the board again vertically by position. And then phase 3, everybody comes back in April. That's when we start working horizontally across the board, across positions, and going through the scenarios. If we were to trade out of this pick, if we were to trade up here, or trying to figure out what cluster of players would be there based off of that's where some of the analytics start coming into play.
With the pick, and obviously, listen, if someone calls you on April 20th and says, I'm going to offer you the next 78 first-round picks, that changes the calculus. But when do you want to have a decision made? Do you say, hey, we want to have it out in a week, or what's the process of saying, pencils down at this point?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think we're getting close to that point. We got one more week left as far as pro days, or maybe 2 weeks of pro days and private workouts. Once we get through with that, we'll be in the room here, mid-April. You're kind of getting to that spot, unless, particularly with the number one pick, there's going to be people that make calls. We're going to have to listen. There may be something that comes up that you're like, wow, that's strong.
Yeah.
But we might be at a point at mid-April or right before the draft where it's like we're probably not going to trade this. It's going to take a lot to come up to get here. So I would just say we're still in it. We're still in that process. And the thing I like about Mike and really understanding the system is extremely thorough. And we just don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. I mean, of course, do we have some favorites? Is there some talks going on? Yeah, absolutely. Those things are happening. You're really interested in certain guys, but we want to go through the complete process, make sure we get this right, because it's a big decision. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's do the fun stuff. We'll start here. We have something called badasses. Most badass person you've ever been around in football. That could be somebody who scouted in Green Bay. That could be somebody in Tennessee. Doesn't matter. Somebody from college. Doesn't matter. Most badass person you've ever been around in football. Really good question. Non-quarterback. I'll go non-quarterback here. And I'm going to go with probably the best football player that I've ever seen with my own two eyes outside of the quarterback position was Charles Woodson. Oh, wow. Okay. Charles Woodson had a sixth sense. Yeah. I mean, his ability to make plays and feel the game and see things before the offense even sees it. I mean, he was by far the best non-quarterback player that I've ever been around. Do you think, I promise this is only vaguely a Travis Hunter question. Yeah. Like, do you think that there's the capability for a two-way player in the NFL? Like, I feel like if Charles Woodson were born in 1990, he would have gotten a lot more run on both sides. Well, Charles could have played receiver. He could have played, obviously he was a defensive back. And then later in his career, he moved to safety and was real successful at that position. He returned punts. Yes. I remember him being at Michigan, and I'm from Ohio. So that broke my heart, being from Ohio, that Charles Woodson is Mr. Football in the state of Ohio and goes to Michigan and then would tear up Ohio State every year. So, but yeah, I think in today's football, I mean, boy, Travis Hunter is just so unique. I mean, that's 120 snaps a game. None of us have really seen that. And that doesn't mean he can't do it, but if anybody's going to be able to do it, he's already proven it at the collegiate level. Can he prove it at the NFL level? I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah. Can you give your impressions of Cam Ward? Is that allowed? Do you want to? What's that? Can you give your impressions of Cam Ward? Are you allowed to? Do you want to? Yeah, we can. We just spent time with him. Obviously, everybody knows we did the pro day on Monday, and our whole contingent was there, and then we did a private with him on Friday. And I mean, Cam, I saw him actually in the fall. I went to the Georgia Tech game early in the season to see him play. I went to Miami. Don't bring that game up. No, I know. But the second half, first half, it was a little rough. The second half, they started to come back. And but yeah, Cam, he's been really impressive throughout this whole process. I'll say that. And everybody, I feel like is starting to catch up a little bit. The guy is a really good player, and he has a lot of the qualities that you want from that position. But like I said, we're still going through our process, and we'll figure out where we are here in a few weeks. Absolutely. We do something called one rep back, so I'll give you some context. So when it's an evaluator, it's a draft report you'd love to be able to have back. So Les Snead just gave me Jimmy Graham. He didn't see it at all with Jimmy Graham. Okay. He hated the fact that he missed on it. He thought he was too raw, and his lesson from that was, if the guy at the Senior Bowl is showing out, there's usually going to be a positive trajectory when best on best. Right. And then Veach missed on Fred Warner. He just didn't see it at all. He didn't see Fred Warner coming. He didn't, the way BYU used him, it was the whole deal. So your entire career could be as far back as you'd like. What's the one pick or eval or thought or meeting statement you made that you like back? How long do we have? I mean, this is really tough. We're projecting, human performance. But I think one of them, as it pertains to the Tennessee Titans, because this player played for Tennessee, is I did some work on Kevin Byard prior to go into seeing him at Middle Tennessee State. And, I thought he was a third round, fourth round type player. Then I go into the school and I'm hearing all this chatter about how he'd never run faster than 4.65. You start listening, and I allowed the noise around me to affect me, where I dropped his grade all the way down. I think it was a 7th round grade, and I should have stuck with what my instinct told me. Malcolm Gladwell wrote this book called Blink, right? It was my blink moment, and I didn't trust myself, and I wasn't confident enough to like stay in there and trust what my eyes were seeing at the time. I can sit here. We all of us personnel guys, we all remember the ones we miss, and not more so than the ones we actually hit on. So I got quite a few of those.
Yeah. Last thing for I'm asking everybody about the town that they live in.
Yeah.
Give me something you've learned about Nashville since relocating there that maybe I wouldn't understand, or Jack or Miles wouldn't understand.
Wow, that's a good question. I've been from my house to the facility, basically, for the last 2 years.
Got the Starbucks right there.
So I haven't got out as much.
Yeah.
I haven't got out as much, but I think it's a really unique, cool city, and the fact that people come to Nashville, particularly from the music industry, as songwriters, and just like, chasing their dreams, and working as a waitress or a waiter, or doing these odd jobs to try to make it, and they just do things differently than the rest of the world. They're willing to bet on themselves, and I think that's kind of the way that I think our organization is. We do things differently and a little bit unique, even from the standpoint of how we're even structured. People ask a lot of questions around that. Like, we are different. We're trying to live on that cutting edge, because you win on the edges in the league.
Yeah, awesome. Chad Brinker, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. I enjoyed it.